Hey guys, today I'm just going to show you how to make your own recursive method and basically just deal with recursion by itself. What I'm going to do is basically make a method that counts down from like any number to 0, and it's going to be recursive instead of using something like a for loop. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's create an int, set something to like 100. Then we have to create our method, and let's do something like alright. Now, before I write the code in the method, there are basically like 4 things that every recursive method needs. It needs to be given an input value, and in this case it's start int, which I'm just going to change to integer. And it's usually an argument, but it could be something like read from the command line. Most often it's actually an argument. It needs to contain some sort of logic, like an if statement, that deals with this input value of integer. And that leads to different cases, like, so I check like if integer equals 1, or if integer is like less than a certain number or something like that. And this usually has to go with the third thing, which is where we have to provide a stopping case where we no longer need to call the recursive method. And if none of this is really making sense right now, I'll make sure to explain it once I actually write the code. So we need a stopping case. That does not. Okay, and the last thing we need is one more. One or more cases must include a recursive call in the method, and the most important part of this is that it needs to basically like cut the problem into smaller bits. So like, say if we start our integer at 100, we need to make the integer 1 smaller so that it's at 99. It basically just goes towards the base case by providing it with smaller and smaller arguments, or smaller and smaller versions of a task. Alright, let's go ahead. Just going to add this in here real quick. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to provide our base case, which is, because we want to, when integer equals 1, we don't want, or we want to excuse me, simply print out integer, and we don't want to make another call to the recursive method. And here is where the recursion actually comes into place. First off, we're just going to write the line, and then what we're going to do is we're going to decrement integer, and then we're going to call count down again, and that's it. So what's going to happen is we give it an input value, integer, and we have our logic here, our if and else, which is number 2. The stopping case that does not require recursion, this is the recursion part, so this is the stopping case, so we are no longer calling this method again. And one or more cases must include a recursive call of the method with a smaller version of the task. Notice this is why we decremented integer. And this is why, and this is the recursive call. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a breakpoint in here so we can really see what this is doing. Alright. Get my NetBeans and Visual Studio commands mixed up a bit. Alright, so we're now in the countdown method with integer equals 100. So this is the base case that will reach at the very end. Notice it's not going to reach this, so it's going to go right ahead into the else statement. It's going to print out integer in our command thing, and it's going to decrement integer, and then it's going to call countdown again. Notice it goes back into the method again. Checks it again, still doesn't equal 1. It's going to print it out, it's going to decrement it, it's going to count it again. So notice this is very much similar to a like a loop, and notice that all the values have been printed out. Let's do that again, because I don't think I went into it deep enough. Notice that it's just basically making 100 instances. If you think about it, it's making 100 instances of this method. And in the final, like, 100th instant, it's finally going to reach this case, and it's finally just going to print out this, and the 100th instance of the method is going to end, and then all the other 99 instances of the method are finally going to be able to finish their else statement. Because if you think about it, once like the first instance of the method goes into this here, it is never able to actually finish its method. So if to actually really show that, I'm just going to do this. This should be able to really show what it's actually doing. Let's go ahead and just see. This pretty much proves that. Notice that method done is printed all the way at the very end, which shows that this method actually doesn't complete itself until the very, very end, when all those methods finally combine themselves. Not combine themselves, they finally just finish up. And if this is still confusing, leave a comment and I can try to make a more detailed video. It's kind of hard to explain with over a tutorial. But if you'd like to know any more tutorials about C#, Visual Studio 2008, or Java, which I've gotten into making a few tutorials on that, or security, or various internet things, just leave a comment. I'll try and get to them. I've been kind of busy with my new website, yeahthat'sfunny.com, but yeah, that's it. Quackqueers signing out.